What's going on, Kansas City Chiefs Kingdom? This is Arrowhead Kickoff with Noah Groniger and Clint Schweitzer from Star State Media and the great Rich Baldinger, who played for the Kansas City Chiefs. He played at left tackle, he played at right tackle, he played at left guard, he played at right guard. We got the Chiefs, we got the Bears. We're here to break it down. What do you say, Noah G?
Absolutely, Shane. We are ready to roll here. We got Justin Fields coming in, blaming coaches and then taking it back. He said he just needs to go with his instincts and stop thinking so much out there because he's not getting through his progressions. He's not reading it correctly. He's not hitting the open man. There's everybody on TikTok is breaking down this film saying he had this guy open. Then if he just went to the next guy, he had him open. He had everybody open last week and he just would not pull the trigger. He would just take off into a sack. So things are a mess there in Chicago. We got a defensive coordinator resigning. We got the FBI raiding his house, Alan Williams. So Matt Eberflus is taking over duties. Rich, this should just be a party here for the Chiefs at home.
I'd like to know what was in that cup Shaggy had. Right? I mean, that was like instant results right there. That might have been from my black bag on there, buddy. What's in that combination? Way to bring the energy and the passion. No question about it. You know, you're looking at a Chicago Bears team right now on both sides of the ball struggling. Injuries at the safety position. What does that open up for the Chiefs in the passing game? This is a defensive line that I think's really soft. I think it would be a great day to bring the smash mouth game back for the Chiefs and set the tempo. I thought we got a little maybe wonky last week with the play calling and kind of when we don't get any running game going, or at least get the team respect the run. Pass game seems to struggle. And of course, the turnovers, 3 turnovers before we finally score a touchdown. So a lot of question marks. I know for the Bears, but for the Kansas City Chiefs, this is a game you got to come in and you can take care of some of the issues you have, because this team right now, Chicago Bears, led by a quarterback who, he says he's thinking too much. I'm not sure what he's thinking about at quarterback, except maybe finding where to go with the football. Yeah. But, I think this is one of the problems with these kids who come out of college. Everything's got to be this glorious 50-yard bomb or scramble for 80 yards, and it's this play where the stars fall from the sky. It's just not going to be like the National Football League. You're playing against too good of a talent. So, for Matt Eberflus, this is tough. I mean, you're taking over for your defense coordinator, but on the other side of the ball, when you're struggling at that quarterback position, believe me, it disseminates throughout the team, and you can see that with Chicago Bears. Not a lot of confidence in number one at the quarterback position.
And to help them out, their left tackle's out this week as well. So,
Yeah, he struggled in the Green Bay game. He really did. Had I think 3 holding penalties. So now they got a young guy over there. But I mean, again, when your quarterback doesn't kind of get into the flow of the game, I mean, every play has designed a number one receiver. You have your check downs. Check downs could be more pretty than the number one receiver. You just think of guys like how the Kansas City Chiefs uses our running backs to get involved in the offense. Justin Fields just doesn't even have that. I really wonder for 3 years what they've been doing in Chicago with him. Maybe he's been with the hot dog vendors too long, eating brats and beers, but definitely not in the field of the game in the NFL, understanding that you've got to be able to find those openings. It's not going to be where automatically in college you're playing against a freshman, corner that's just going to get beat and you can throw the bomb. Doesn't happen like that in the National Football League. So hopefully today he doesn't learn. Keep thinking, partner. I like when you're thinking. It's like me in algebra class. 0 is happening upstairs on that. So what do you think, Shaggy? Do you think maybe we ought to give him a cup of your juice? Then he'll really be thinking, huh?
We don't want the Bears to have the cup of this juice. We want the Chiefs to have the cup of this juice. But Rich, you were a Chiefs left guard in 1988, you were the team that wasn't supposed to go into Chicago and do anything. You were 1-7-1. The Bears, who were eventually in 1988, they went on and hosted I believe, the NFC Championship game in Chicago. But in that game, the Chiefs came out and got up 14-0 before the Bears finally woke up. And then 2 years later, you're the starting right tackle, and the Chiefs were obviously the team that was was setting the precipice for what was going to be the 1990s, and you got up. You got to experience both against the Bears, playing different positions, of course, left guard and right tackle. You got to experience what it was like to be the underdog who came in at 1-6-1 and got up 14-0 and eventually lost. And you got to be on a team where you were the dominant team on the road and you came out and won. Looking back at the 1988 team that went in and got up done 14-0, this is why I bring up the one from 1988, just because of the fact that the Bears were supposed to steamroll from jump. Our fears are, as Chiefs fans, how do we keep the Bears down? How do you coach them up to keep them down? Because you're the better team. This team's in turmoil. Do not let the Bears get up 10-0 or 14-0. As a coach and as a player, how do you deal with the team and going through so much turmoil, Rich?
Well, the first thing you learn in the National Football League is when you come as a rookie is your focus stays on yourself. You never really make the game bigger than what it is, because once you do that, you take away your thinking about what you need to do. And that's why today, when I look at this game, I don't talk about the issues with the Chicago Bears. And we know there's a lot of problems. There's too many issues with the Kansas City Chiefs if we want to be back in the big Super Bowl game again that we need to take care of. And we can draw those up. It'll take the rest of the show to list all the mistakes that we made. So you keep your focus on that. You need to improve on that. And when you improve there, then everything else takes care of itself. In the 88 game, I had Dan Hampton against me on the inside most of the game and everything. But Dan Hampton, well, the Chicago Bears could probably use Dan Hampton right now on that defense line. But again, your focus just has to stay on what you need to do. I mean, you study your films all week. You know the players you're playing against. And everybody in the National Football League is good. Sometimes when you don't have proper coaching or you don't have a lot of confidence, you're not the same player. So that's why you don't worry about it. You can never worry about that team. You just see what they demonstrate on film and you take care of your things. Because if it isn't like that, if your thinking isn't like that, you'll never be able to stay in the National Football League. And I give Andy Reid credit. If there's one thing this guy does is he gets his players week in, week out. We've started a little slow the first couple games, but he's able to get them to focus on what they need to do. And when you talk about when you can do that, that's how you get players to play, and that's how you're successful year in and year out. If you don't get that, and you break it down as simple as that, if your focus is never on what you need to do, you're going to lose football games to teams you shouldn't lose football games.
Rich, you talk about Dan Hampton? Did you ever have a chance to go up against Steve Mongo McMichael, someone that's fighting for his life right now, and that was a legendary All-Pro for the Chicago Bears and became a member of the Four Horsemen in WCW with Ric Flair and the like? So if you got any good Steve Mongo McMichael stories, I'd love to hear them.
Well, yeah, he was a player. I'll tell you what, he reminded me of Joe Nash. Steve McMichael might not have been the most talented person, but the one thing you had to worry about him and Joe Nash, Seattle Seahawks, is they never quit. They would run as fast on the very first play as the very last play in the game. Every moment of every play was 100 miles an hour. And when you play against people like that, that's what the National Football League is about. That's the difference between college and the National Football League. Not always talent. It's just guys know that, guess what? This is how they're making their living. And in my time, you didn't stay in the game if you didn't give it 100 miles an hour every play. There was no guaranteed contracts. If you weren't playing, you weren't getting your incentives. So that was the difference with guys like that. I wish the best of Steve McMichael for everything that's going on with him right now, health-wise. I don't know the complete status, but he was a guy who just gave unbelievable effort. And the guy next to him, Dan Hampton, for as big as he was, he was like Chris Jones to me. He was so quick through a gap. And, he was every bit of 6'6", 285, 290 pounds, but could move like a lightning bolt. So between those two guys inside, it was always a nightmare. I mean, you had to make sure you stepped the right way. If you didn't, man, they would make you look funny real quick.
Yeah, we got some injuries here to look at. Nick Bolton's going to be out. Richie James is out. Isaiah Pacheco's dealing with a hamstring. They say he's probably going to give it a go. Kadarius Toney, they say he's a game-time decision, so we'll see what happens there. Willie Gay is questionable. I think he's going to give it a go as well. Stepping in for Nick Bolton, they're going to have Drew Tranquil starting.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what they're going to do with Richie James. They brought up Montrell Washington from the practice squad, so we'll see if he's kind of the kick returner, punt returner. I know he did a little bit in preseason. So we'll see what they kind of have there in store with a running quarterback like Justin Fields, a big guy. You would love Nick Bolton to be in there to fill those gaps and be able to bring down that big, physical, strong quarterback. Drew Tranquil, not the biggest guy. He might have some tough times trying to bring down Justin Fields.
Why did the Chargers let Drew Tranquil go with the issues they're having on that defense? And you look at the Chargers right now, 0-2 scoring points. I mean, what is Brandon Staley thinking about when you lose a guy like that? I mean, if you watch Drew Tranquil, he's got to be a 4.40 guy out in the field. He is absolutely a monster. A question mark I want to see today, does Chenal, linebacker, maybe get a chance to play some of that middle linebacker position? Because I'll tell you what, this guy is a head thumper now. I mean, he is an old-fashioned head thumper. He blows people up on the run. And I always said that I thought he would be better inside and let Nick Bolton on the outside because Nick can run so well. He might be a better runner. And I don't know. Today, amazing things happen in the National Football League. So not really sure if Nick Bolton has solidified his position, of course. But I just wonder, I'm telling you, that speed linebacker position for the Chiefs, I think, is just so devastating. You watching the coverage, how they can drop, but then yet recover so quickly in the support of the run game.
Yeah, we've seen Leo Chenal rushing off the edge as well. So he's a versatile guy they're liking to use different places. Looked like he did well there, the limited snaps he got at edge. So that's kind of a wrinkle they'll throw in as well.
Yeah, he just doesn't get caught up in traffic. He slips through people. He's able to keep them, never allows that offensive lineman to get proper placement. But I'll tell you what, he packs a punch when he hits people. Absolutely knocks the stuffing out of people. And you like to see that. I mean, really, against Jacksonville from the early get-go, the run defense was really a knockout blow, especially with Chris Jones there in the middle. I mean, they just had no answers. But I like the way our linebackers are heading downfield quickly. It seems faster this year than last year. I'm not sure first couple games, that's just the design maybe for the first couple games. But we seem to be getting downhill quicker, and it's kind of a throwback. Because I tell you, when you can throttle another team's run, it really – kind of, well, what are we going to do game plan wise now? Because we're kind of getting thumped there in the trenches. So we don't want to get in too many third and long situations.
Hey, Rich, a week ago at this time, we were talking about the new rule that was implemented 48 hours earlier with the NFL is going to watch the right tackle situation. Jawan Taylor against Jacksonville last Sunday at noon.
4 penalties.
Yes, 4 penalties, and he was pulled from the game. He came back in the fourth quarter and obviously played well. What would you think his psyche is this week and going into today's game after being pulled because of the penalties and being watched, under serious scrutiny because of the way he's lining up? What do you think his mindset is and could be going into today's game with Chicago?
Still get off the ball as quick as possible. Get off the ball. Lie, cheat, and steal as much as you can. Bring the money to the refs if you have to. Write them a check before the game, whatever. Yeah, listen, we know he was taking as much advantage as possible of the system. First game, maybe got away with some. Last week, they caught him. And so, you know what you do? You just keep playing football. Get off the ball as quick as you can. Kind of keep your focus on what you need to do. But, when I hear lectures about, when I hear J.J. Watt, commenting that, hey, this guy's offside. I mean, J.J. Watt, you lined up offsides every play when you play. So, listen, you take advantage of what you can. He knows he's going to have to move up, get his helmet up closer, split the waist of the center. So they're going to watch him. And that's what they told him, really, when they took him out of the game. It was really a good job by the Chiefs. I think they just took him out. So it took the whole idea of the ref. Get the ref out of the game, not looking at him anymore. Kind of, let's just get this out of the mindset of the officials on the field. And he came back in and played well. But I know this is kind of an iniquity right now, and we'll fix it. But I like the attitude that these guys bring on the edge for us. And when we run block, we knock people on their ass, and I like that. They bring an attitude. They finish. He knocks people down. So sometimes you got to put up the good with the bad. And you know what? I'll take a little bit of a bad because the guy's been doing a lot of other things really well. First week, against Detroit, he held up pretty good on the outside playing against who's the defensive end for Detroit? A really good player there. Yeah, he one-on-one. Most of the time, he held his own. So, hey, you got to do what you got to do to win the National Football League. Is that your answer, Shaggy? Clint, do you understand that?
I wrote some of it down. I'm going to be checking the notes during the game. I am a student of the game, Rich. And we've talked about some of the memories of playing the Bears already. I've just amassed a few because the Chiefs, somebody earlier last week said, guys, it's Bears week. And I scoffed at that because I'm like, these two franchises have met a total of 13 times in NFL history, and the Chiefs are 6-7 against the Bears. This is a rarity when you play some of these teams from these divisions in the NFC. But here we go. Number 14 will happen today at Arrowhead. And I just got a few memories to bring up here. Rich, we couldn't find any footage from when you played against the Bears. YouTube did not go back that far. So we have to start with 1993. No Joe Montana, no problem, right? Marcus Allen's going to take us home into the end zone here, as the last year the Chiefs had turf at Arrowhead Stadium. Dave Wanstead coaching the Bears, and Dale Carter, smooth as silk. He's going to pick this up and score. It's all good. The Chiefs are going to win this game going away, right? They're the AFC West champions. Chicago's terrible this year. Nope. D Ford's offsides, and that doesn't count. And Neil Anderson is going to wind up giving the Bears the win here after this NFL folly where the Bears pick up a Dave Craig deflection, and Neil Anderson's going to punch it in, and the Bears upset the Joe Montana-less Chiefs at home.
Not Harbaugh again.
How about this? It was Jim Harbaugh. The final week of the 2003 season, Priest Holmes sets the record for rushing touchdowns in a season. The Chiefs kind of roll over the Bears here, no problem. Bears wearing all white.
Left tackle. Willie Rofe at left tackle.
Oh my God, that whole line. We loved all of them. Brian Waters and Casey Wigman and so many more. Chiefs won that one easily. God, the last time the Bears visited Arrowhead, it was October 11th, 2015, and Jay Cutler delivers a strike and a dagger as Matt Forte in the back of the end zone beats the Chiefs, who wound up winning 10 straight, I believe, after this game, Shane, to make the playoffs as a wild card. Patrick Mahomes' first time against the Bears, the team that passed on him, that took Mitch Trubisky, and guys, he made the Bears pay in the worst way as the Chiefs run over the Bears 26-3, I believe, in this one, and made Bears fans question, what in the hell did we do? We could have had Patrick Mahomes, and instead they're where they are now with Justin Fields. It's all the same. The more things change, the more stay the same for the Chicago Bears, who, look at that sad bear. Noah, how did you find a picture of a bear that's just sad and upset and crying?
We're wonderful friends at Canva. You type in bear, they give you 55 different bears to choose from.
Did you type in sad bear? Because that's what it is.
I didn't. It was the luck of the draw, unlike the Bears and their luck or lack thereof in drafting quarterbacks. As you see here, we make fun of Mitch Trubisky, how they passed on Patrick Mahomes, yet he's been better than Justin Fields so far through 27 career starts. I mean, just Trubisky beats him in just about every category, but even though he's lower on the rush yards than Justin Fields, obviously, he's still got more total combined yards, same pass and rushing touchdowns, less turnovers, better passer rating, better completion percentage, better passing yards for Trubisky. So they've got to figure this thing out with Justin Fields, or they're going to be starting over again in Chicago. They just can't find a quarterback.
Quarterbacks has Chicago gone through since Jim McMahon in his Super Bowl?
Oh gosh, we don't have time.
I think if I'm correct, I think it's 26 quarterbacks.
Wow,
it's something, some amazing number that they have. I mean, you would think the Chicago Bears in a city like that, but just have not been able to change coaching staff. And I don't know how long before the changes in the coaching staff up there again in Chicago. The way it's going right now, you got to think, Matt Eberflus might be on the hot seat right now, especially with this defensive coordinator situation and everything. Do they look at if this season goes upside down, do you clear house and try to get a new flavor in there and start all over again? And when you're starting a new coach, a new quarterback again, it can become a nightmare. And man, you see that right now with Chicago Bears, because it's just number one is not number one in the hearts of the Bear fans right now. I'll tell you that much.
Do you feel, Rich, that the NFL is what can you do for me now so much so that the pressure is too much for they're not giving these coaches and quarterbacks enough time to develop, because Matt Nagy was the 2018 NFL Coach of the Year. Matt Nagy took Mitch Trubisky and the Bears to the playoffs 2 years in a row. And then the last year he had or it might've been 2 years later, I'm not looking at the stats right now, he was fired. It just seems like they don't give these quarterbacks, head coaches enough time to sustain, to go through, the roller coasters. It just seemed like to me as an outsider.
Patrick Mahomes for that.
Well, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, their old general manager took Trubisky over Patrick Mahomes. That was a big error, but still Matt Nagy was the NFL Coach of the Year, then took the Bears to the playoffs twice with Trubisky. What do you think is going on, Rich, in Chicago? Is it something only in Chicago, or do you feel like the NFL is just like, you better win now? If you're going to be the coach of the year, you got to sustain that. There should be no roller coaster rides. What do you think, Rich?
I just don't think they allow downtime. There's just no chance of downtime. And I think it's more difficult now too, with all the movement of the players too. I don't understand it, but I think the thinking is now, with this movement of players, why can't you have a good team every year? You can go into the free agency market and get guys. You can go, you should be able to sustain, but yet it doesn't work out like that. We all know when you make changes to the puzzle, those pieces don't always fit. So I know it's more difficult sometimes. And just because a player in another organization is good, people think, oh, wow, we'll bring this guy in. Well, did you look at the system he was in? What kind of person is he? What happens if he goes to a losing cycle? How is that person in the locker room? So there's a lot of things that go involved in building up a team. And I think sometimes now people think with where you should be able to get players, it should make it good, but it also makes it more difficult. And heck, I think this week, didn't somebody steal all the lawnmowers up there? They broke in. So times are tough in Chicago. I don't know if they're going to cut the grass for the rest of the year up there. Soldier Field. So
that's been going bad there in Chicago. Yeah, somebody broke into the facility and stole equipment. I didn't hear if it was mowers or shoulder pads.
Yeah, $100,000 lost in mowers, man. I tell you, I don't know. That doesn't bode well for you playing against Patrick Mahomes and everything. So
look for
see how it affects them. Maybe we can use that in today's game.
Yeah, look for a startup landscaping company, a big startup in Chicago, and Chicago, go get your mowers back.
The one thing that when you look Justin Fields, when you look at the one thing about it, when you're under 60% completion in the National Football League nowadays, with the rules and the way you, after 5 yards, you can't bump people. It's a game for points. How can you be under 60% completion? It just goes to show you he's not taking what's out there and completing passes. He's trying to always complete the perfect pass, and when you do that, you're always going to be perfectly wrong. So, you wish for the young man to get better, but eventually after 3 years, do you make that jump? Do you allow yourself to be able to see what's going on in the field and be able to become a leader and make plays? And right now, Justin Fields really hasn't checked that box off at all. And I think after 3 years, you got to begin to wonder. But then again, Baker Mayfield's down in Tampa right now and playing pretty good in the first couple of games. So let's see what happens. Hopefully Justin doesn't wake up today.
Right. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, for Chicago, we're talking about if this kind of keeps going south, are they going to blow things up? Here in Kansas City, we're saying, hey, we're still a Super Bowl contender, but the offense isn't quite to our liking as we look in the first two games here. Last year, 71 points, only one giveaway, 6.7 yards of play. Mahomes passer rating 127.9. This year, passer rating at 88, only 37 points, 4 giveaways, only 5.7 yards per play. So the defense really showing up and standing out, especially with Chris Jones coming back, playing like a top 5 defensive unit, has really kind of quieted the noise, I think, on this offense. If the Jags score some of those touchdowns and the defense is weak, as it has been kind of throughout Mahomes' time here, they really came on at the tail end of last season, and to start off this season, they're going gangbusters. I think there'd be more noise about this offense, but the defense is playing so great, and they need to find their way. And this week is a great time to get back on track.
Oh, it is great. A great week come back, but let's give credit where credit is due. You go down to Jacksonville and you win on the road. You won a game on the road, and Jacksonville had their opportunities. They couldn't get it done at home. So anytime you go on the road in the National Football League and you win a football game, that's a big win for the Kansas City Chiefs. So I use that and I say that to overcome maybe some of the things, but there are issues, the penalties we need to do, the turnovers. I don't like what's happening on special teams 2 weeks in a row. We've had mistakes now on special teams. This is simply unacceptable because there's one thing, if turnovers in special teams will come back to haunt you. Maybe not every game, but they will haunt you in the game. And if it's the one thing that Marty Schottenheimer took to heart, it absolutely hammered day in and day out are those two things. So let's change those now. Let's get those over with. And, everything else will take care of itself because we know there's a lot of new people out there, again, for the Kansas City Chiefs, wide receiver squad, a lot of young guys, new players, guys who missed camp, trying to get everybody back in the system. And I really believe after watching that play call and watching that game, I think Andy Reid isn't really sure what the balance is on play calling. Is it 10 runs the first half? Is it 15?
Man.
Is it more?
Yeah.
I think they're still playing with this. I think they play with it. And it drives us crazy. It makes everybody mad. But I think that they want to make sure what's the most operable. Where can they get the most out of these players? And that's why I think Andy's so effective in winning. It's why he's been successful here in Kansas City Chiefs. He's able to get the most out of his players in situations. Sometimes it takes a little while to get there, but he does get there year in and year out.
Well,
I don't know if anybody disagrees with me on that one, but that's what it seems like to me. It really
does.
Well, this seems like a good day to have a good day for this Chiefs offense, and we're going to see how this goes. Kadarius Toney, we talked about, it's a game time decision. Someone in the comments was asking about Isaiah Pacheco. We mentioned earlier that looks like he's going to try to give it a go, kind of a game time decision as well. This seems like a day that even without some of your major weapons, without a Nick Bolton, without some of your key players, that it's not something that's maybe going to stand out or be a huge problem. And with that said, Rich, it's time to get into your keys to victories. We are heading into the noon slate here with some big games coming up. You got Dolphins and Broncos coming up here. Of course, everybody's going to be watching Chargers and Vikings. That's a big crossroads 0-2 clash coming up here. So, Rich, your keys to victory, Chiefs and Bears. There probably won't be a whole lot of analysis here, but hey, there's some words written.
Well, first of all, you know me, guys. I'm a run game guy. I love it. I didn't like the pass block. I love to run the football. I think today when you look at this Bears defense and the struggles they're having the defensive tackle, I think we can take advantage of it. And I think when we set a tempo in that run game, whatever we do, get a couple positive plays, we can run so many different ways of attacking a defense, from counter to sweep, to inside, to zone read. We can do so much. Let's take advantage of it, and let's get the balance back, and let's get this offense clicking. When the Bears had the ball, listen, their number one guy is DJ Moore. He came out last week against Tampa. First couple plays that got him involved, then he disappears. Well, Tampa did a nice job of bracketing him. Let's do the same thing. Let's take him out of the game, because you take him out of the game, I just don't know where the spark is for this offense. Definitely not coming from the quarterback position, as we've talked about it much already. And the last one is, guys, team goal. Let's just get rid of these turnovers. 3 in the first half last week. You know, and I know it. You're playing the Cincinnati Bengals in a playoffs or whatever along the way. If you're having an issue with your turn, let's end it. Let's take care of the football. Let's put it away. Let's do the little things right. Because to me, turnovers, you're not doing the little things, which means you're not thinking. You're not doing what you need to do. And if you're not doing that, then you're definitely going to be sitting on the sidelines with the hot dog vendor. So let's get it done. Let's get rid of the turnovers, and let's play at a level that we understand here in Kansas City.
Absolutely. And let's also get our predictions. Shane, Bears, Chiefs, who you got?
Chiefs 34-10.
Love it. Clint?
I have no score prediction. I just have this. Clubber Lang, Rocky 3. I actually picked 33-16 because I like weird random scores. So let's go 33-16 Chiefs, and maybe getting some things moving offensively to get some, to get these receivers and these young receivers just some confidence. I think that's the important thing here. And maybe Rich talked about a running game. We've talked about it for years. We'll see if that today might be just the day for such a thing.
Yeah, I've got Chiefs 31-15. I think you mentioned Nick Lowry kicked 5 field goals in one of those past Chiefs-Bears games. Well, I've got the Bears and Cairo Santos, former Chiefs kicker, kicking 5 field goals. And the Chiefs win 31-15. But we also have a Kenny Loggins appearance, because I need Sky to Meet me halfway across the sky. Get off Planet D-Rob and being non-existent. Just don't even get to Planet Pickens. You're not going to be George Pickens. Just get to Planet McCole, a 500-600-yard receiver. That's all we want. Stop being non-existent. No more fumbles and turnovers. No more dropping the football. Just get to Planet McCole. That's all I ask.
He caught a touchdown last week.
We just got a YouTube strike for that rendition of Kenny Loggins. Meet me halfway.
Rich, what do you got?
Well, I know there's a lot of question marks about his love life and Travis Kelce, and maybe that's going to be an issue for the Kansas City Chiefs, but not today. I think I think one of the things we haven't really talked about is the safety position of the Bears. I'm not sure who's playing also at nickel. I'm not sure at the safety. They've had a lot of injuries. And what does that mean? The middle of the field. So if linebackers are going to have to take away run because they can't control our inside three, then, and that means Travis Kelce on RPOs. That means Travis Kelce on seam routes. So I look for the Kansas City Chiefs on a big win today, 34-7. They take care of business. They get this machine back on the road. Listen, if you know anything about Patrick Mahomes, the reason why the Chicago Bears didn't take him is because they were scared of him and what he would do and bring a winning team to that organization. And Patrick, that's all I got to do. You just got to read his eyes after the game, and it tells you everything. I look for the Chiefs to have a big offense today. Defensively, Chris Jones, let me tell you something. O-line struggling for Chicago right now. They've already given up 10 sacks. We haven't even talked about that. Last year, Fields sacked 55 times. I look for a big afternoon also for Chris Jones. This is not going to be a big game. I think the Chiefs take care of business quickly.
Well, it may be a sleepy game. We hope it's a party for our Kansas City Chiefs. We have a lot to talk about on the offensive side, some sacks, some turnovers. So with that said, let's go Chiefs. And this is
Chiefs!
Your Chiefs pregame game. Go Chiefs!